Cole Custer or Ryan Preece? The latest reports say that the Stewart-Haas Racing number 41 is still wide open going into 2023. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. The off-season is here. It's the first weekend since like February to not feature any sort of on-track NASCAR action, but there's still some juicy silly season debates to be had. Today we're talking Stewart-Haas Racing. Before we get to the latest tweet from reporter Bob Pockrass, let's first cover all our bases. October 16th, just before the start of the Las Vegas Cup race, several reporters tweeted, Gene Haas on the pre-race grid says he'd like to give Cole Custer another year to prove himself, but Tony Stewart prefers Ryan Preece, and they've got to carefully consider who they put in the car because he anticipates losing Harvick and Almirola at the end of 2023. That report was from Jenna Fryer of the Associated Press. Bob Pockrass from Fox Sports tweeted something similar, except he added, Gene Haas is trying to convince Harvick to do an extension. All that was reported nearly a month ago. That was the first time we all realized that the Stewart-Haas Racing number 41 was a question mark going into next year. And I know I, for one, was a bit surprised by this news. Cole Custer has not been very good the last couple of seasons, but his father, Joe Custer, is basically Gene Haas's right-hand man. When your dad is the team president, typically you have a longer leash. A week after those initial reports, reporter Dalton Hopkins asked Ryan Preece about these rumors. And Preece said, quote, it's a really good person, referring to Tony Stewart, to have in your corner for sure. I have a guy like Kevin Harvick, a guy like Tony, and then I've got strong supporters of mine that are really trying to help me get an opportunity. But other than that, I really don't know what's going to happen. A week after Preece said that, reporter Chris Knight tweeted this. Hearing Preece will be just fine in 2023. Then at Phoenix, this past weekend, the final weekend of the NASCAR season, reporter Dustin Albino asked Cole Custer if there'd been any new developments, and Cole Custer said, quote, I'll worry about that after. That's up to Tony and Gene. So as of the final race of the season, Cole Custer still didn't know for sure what his plans for next year were going to look like. Then this week, 2 days ago, we're finally caught up to the present. Reporter Bob Pockrass, Fox Sports, tweeted this. Ryan Preece, still a possibility to be in the 41 Cup car next year. Would think we would get a decision soon in the next 2 weeks. I don't know about y'all, but after taking in all that information, to me at least, it sounds increasingly likely that Ryan Preece will drive for SHR in the Cup Series next year. Or maybe not the Cup Series, but somewhere in the Stewart-Haas Racing ecosystem, maybe a full-time Xfinity ride. Something. You know, it's worth noting that the Stewart-Haas Racing Xfinity lineup has not yet been set. This past year, 2022, they only ran one full-time car. It was driven by Riley Herbst. He does not have a deal in place for next season, at least not one that's public. So could the 98 car be available? We know that Ford development driver Haley Deegan is looking for an Xfinity Series opportunity. Could she be a candidate for that ride? Could Stewart-Haas Racing add a second car once again? You look around the Xfinity Series, there aren't many Fords. There's the SHR Ford, there's the two Ryan Sieg Racing Fords, and then really there's the 07 for SS Greenlight. That's about it. I asked this question in a video a few weeks ago actually, but what is Stewart-Haas Racing's long-term, heck even short-term plan? Because the two men with their names on the building clearly have different ideas for the future. I want to go over a few possible scenarios here, beginning with what I believe to be the best case scenario for Stewart-Haas. Best case scenario, Cole Custer keeps the 41 car next season and Ryan Preece signs a full-time Xfinity deal to drive, the 98, maybe the 00, an SHR Xfinity car, which sets him up to take over for either Kevin Harvick or Aric Almirola on the Cup side in 2024. That's the best case scenario, and in my opinion, that's what Stewart-Haas Racing should be pursuing. There have been some reports that Ryan Preece is weighing other offers from other teams and other manufacturers. It sounds like he's planning to wait and see what happens with the SHR deal first, but he's not guaranteed to race for them next season. And if they lose Ryan Preece, if Stewart-Haas Racing loses Preece to a rival team or manufacturer, heads should roll. That would be a colossal failure. I know Cole Custer hasn't been great, but I do believe he should keep the 41 car for another season, assuming they can find a place for Ryan Preece somewhere, because Cole Custer's still really young. He's only 24 years old. I think he'll be 25 by the time next year starts. But he's so young, he's had tremendous success in Xfinity. He won a race in Xfinity earlier this season in just a part-time effort. I know he struggled, but you can't give up on him this soon because you don't really have any drivers in the lower ranks ready to replace him. Besides Preece, you got Riley Herbst, not Cup ready. Haley Deegan, not Cup ready. Zane Smith, maybe, but he's under contract with Front Row. He's a Ford guy, I guess, but it sounds like he's specifically a Front Row guy first and foremost, so I don't think you're getting him, at least not anytime soon. You don't have a lot of options, so best case scenario for SHR, they find a way to keep Cole Custer and Ryan Preece and make them both happy. But now let's go over a second scenario. What if Stewart-Haas Racing, for one reason or another, has to pick one, Custer or Preece? In that case, I think you'd have to go with Ryan Preece. Ryan Preece won a Truck Series race last year in his first ever start. This year, running a part-time schedule, he won again. In fact, Preece, in his 10 Truck Series starts this year, never finished worse than 11th. He also made 3 Xfinity starts in a BJ McLeod car that was prepared by Stewart-Haas, finished 5th, 6th, and 16th, not bad. If the only way to hold on to Preece is to give him a Cup Series ride, I think you gotta have him replace Cole Custer. Move Cole Custer back down to the Xfinity Series for another full-time season, give him a shot to chase that championship. Yes, that might initially hurt Cole Custer's confidence, and we've heard from race car drivers for years that being a great race car driver is largely mental. Dropping Custer from Cup would certainly hurt his confidence in the short term, but look at it this way. Is running 25th every week in the Cup Series helping his confidence any? I don't really think so. Drop him down to Xfinity where he's proven recently he can still win races, allow him to build some of that confidence back up, and then when Harvick and or Almirola retire, there will still be a Cup Series seat waiting for him, potentially. I've given you the best case scenario. I've given you a decent plan B, I think. The worst case scenario is that Stewart-Haas Racing loses Ryan Preece altogether. Gene Haas refuses to budge on Cole Custer, they keep him in the 41, and then they're unable to find a seat for him in the Xfinity Series. Preece walks, joins a completely different team, different manufacturer. That would be a huge failure, a huge disappointment, because Stewart-Haas Racing's future is extremely fragile, in my opinion. You already got one of your team owners, Tony Stewart, tweeting about rather being anywhere else than a NASCAR race. Your all-time greatest driver, your leader, Kevin Harvick, likely going to retire after next season. We don't know that for sure. Again, Gene Haas is trying to convince him to stay, but I'm not convinced that will be a successful effort. Remember, Harvick initially planned on retiring after 2021 rather. So he's already pushed retirement a couple years down the line. I'm not sure he does that again. So assuming Harvick retires after next year, assuming Eric Almirola, who nearly retired this year, assuming they're both gone in the next year, maybe 2 years. Let's say they have a 1-year extension left in them. Who would Stewart-Haas Racing have to replace them, if not Ryan Preece? Chase Briscoe's good. He just made the round of 8, won a race in his second year. I think he's a solid driver who's going to continue to improve. Cole Custer, still really young. I'm holding on hope, faith that he'll be something. But we're not sure right now. I mentioned Riley Herbst, Haley Deegan. They haven't done much in the lower ranks. I'm not banking on either of them being Cup Series stars at this point. Then you look at free agents. And as of right now, the 2023 going into 2024 free agent class isn't strong. Guys like Larson, Elliott, Byron, Logano, Blaney, Reddick, Bell, I think Hamlin, Kyle Busch probably, and more are all locked up for more than 1 year. The only big-time drivers that could be free agents next year that I can think of are Alex Bowman, who I think if things go well will stay at Hendrick, Martin Truex Jr., who I think everyone believes only signed a 1-year extension with Joe Gibbs Racing. I think there's a better chance he retires than goes to a different organization. That's just me. And then I think Michael McDowell doesn't have a deal done. I may be wrong about that. There's probably a few other decent drivers out there who are on 1-year contracts, but no superstars. So if Stewart-Haas Racing, worst case scenario, were to lose Ryan Preece, I mean, who on earth are they going to get to replace Kevin Harvick in the near future? I don't see any worthy candidates. So that's why it's very important SHR finds somewhere to put Ryan Preece, where he'll be happy, where he'll continue to develop, so that by 2024 at the latest, he's ready to race full-time in the Cup Series and contend for a playoff spot and wins and potentially a championship. I've given you my 3 scenarios. Now we'll have to wait and see what happens. Again, according to Bob Pockris, we might know something here in the next couple of weeks, hopefully before the holidays. Share your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you had to pick between Cole Custer and Ryan Preece, your SHR, who would you choose? And if SHR were to lose Ryan Preece, are there any top drivers out there who may be available that you think SHR could pursue? Leave a comment down below. I look forward to reading them. If you're new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. We're closing in on 200,000 subscribers. That is insane. Thank you all so much for the support. As always, a big thank you to my Patreon supporters as well. Y'all are truly generous. I really appreciate what you guys do to help keep this show growing. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend. I will see you all very, very soon. Take it easy, y'all.